Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This is a shit ton of dimes.
Shitload. Second episode. Maybe by the third one, you'll figure out what the name of our show is.
It's a shitload of dimes?
A shitload of dimes. When Slim Pickens rides up, he goes, "Does anybody have any dimes?" Well, somebody's got to go back and get a shitload of dimes.
Well,
Yeah,
shit ton is also...
Shit ton is acceptable, but unfortunately not for the name of our show. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what did have a shit ton of awesomeness to it?
Yep.
Nice segue, folks. Was the movie we're going to review tonight, which is Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Christopher Nolan's new World War II epic. And I can say epic because, believe it or not, folks, for the first time in the history of this show, first time, I actually liked the movie we saw.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good. It was fantastic. I'll cover while Matt's drinking. I'm not going to lie to you. We got to do a review for Atomic Blonde later, and the only way we're going to get through that is by drinking. So, going to be a little bit of drinking in this episode. Yeah, we're going to start now. So, tell them about Dunkirk, Matt.
All right, so Dunkirk is a Christopher Nolan movie. It came out. It's funny, I don't think they really did a lot of advertisement for it ahead of time. They just showed very small clips of it, and it just kind of showed that there was a lot of tension. And honestly, this movie did not disappoint in terms of tension. It was a really good Christopher Nolan movie. I took my son Lucas to see it, and you went by yourself?
I did go by myself. Well, not technically by myself. I was next to a Hispanic couple that decided to argue their entire relationship during the movie. That might be a coming soon, folks, is a theater etiquette. Not that anybody on this channel really needs to know that, but if you could spread it to your friends, it'd be really fucking helpful.
Yeah, if you actually just go to the movies, they have advertisements ahead of time that actually tell you to turn off your fucking phone. So, maybe you should probably turn off your fucking phone.
Yeah, it might be, it's just common courtesy. Like, turn your phone off, using your blinker when you change lanes. They do come free with the car. Anyway, We're getting sidetracked here. So let's talk about some of the things we really liked about Dunkirk. I mean, one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed, and to be honest with you, the best part of the entire movie, the acting's phenomenal. The best part is the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer does a fantastic job. The music just creates such a tension. There's always the presence of what seems like a clock ticking in the background. And even in the scenes where there's not much tension, where things are kind of quiet, like there's a scene with Mark Rylance and his family on a boat with Cillian Murphy, you just feel such tension, and then they just keep needling it the entire movie.
Yeah, and an overall feeling of dread on top of that tension. So it keeps driving forward, and it helps to actually drive the movie forward as well. They're in a tough situation, the soldiers on the beach, and no matter how hard they try to get away, everything just seems to hit them. One of the things that I thought was pretty interesting about the movie is that they never actually showed any of the opposing side.
Yeah, there were no Nazis. You saw bullets getting shot. There was always the constant sound effect. There was a couple of torpedo attacks, some bombing runs, but you never saw the actual face of a German Nazi in this movie. For those of you who don't know the story of Dunkirk, it's an actual true story about how French and English troops were surrounded in the small town of Dunkirk trying to escape occupied German France, and how they actually called up the Royal Navy. Wouldn't come and save anybody because they were saving those ships for the upcoming war that was coming to England. So they actually activated the civilians to come over and actually rescue these troops. And it's actually a really good story. But if you're going into this movie thinking you're going to get conversations and dialogue, there's not much at all.
No, nor blood, nor action.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of scenes where things blow up, but when they do, it's very Nolan style, where you see bullets get penetrated, but nobody really bleeds or gets shot, or, people are blowing up, but it's more akin to the 1960s versions of war, where you saw, like, bombs would explode, but there wouldn't be body parts a la Saving Private Ryan. It's not that kind of war movie. It's really done through Christopher Nolan's kind of scope of shooting action, which is not a lot of violence, but it does happen.
This was a war film, and I don't definitely like to make light when it comes to something as serious as something that's real, especially war. But, cheers to you. This was the version of Titanic I always wanted to see.
Yeah, nice, quick. In typical Nolan fashion, the story's non-linear. It's told in 3 separate time frames. One is 1 week, one is 1 hour, one is 1 day and 1 hour. And all the stories do merge together. There are a couple of little instances where that didn't work for me. In particular, and this isn't spoiling anything, but early in the movie when we're introduced to Cillian Murphy's character, he's sitting on the propeller of a sunken battleship, and you're kind of wondering how he got there and how he's the only one there, and that was never really fully explained in the movie. So that was a little bit of an issue. I mean, typical, that if you're going into this movie expecting character development, there is absolutely zero. Maybe Tom Hardy's character at the end, there's a little moment, but I don't know if that would be development or just kind of showing what true hero he was.
Right. A friend of mine had brought up at some point something about character development with Christopher Nolan films. Says he has great stories by all means, but poor character development. And one of the reasons why he said that is, go ahead and name any character from a Christopher Nolan movie other than Batman. And everybody says Scarecrow.
Right, Scarecrow. Well, and I told Matt that The Prestige is by far my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. It's actually probably one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And I couldn't tell you the name of any characters in it right now.
David Bowie.
David Bowie was in it, playing Tesla. He played Tesla. And Andy Serkis was in it. And
yeah, but no characters.
Yeah, no characters. But it was a great story. Nolan tells great stories, and that's what he does here. He weaves a great tapestry of intense action. I mean, when you walk out, I felt beat up. At the end of the movie, I felt beat up because, and minor spoilers here, but at the end of the movie, about 30 minutes away from the end, the resolution of them actually rescuing the soldiers from Dunkirk happens. And you feel great. There's this moment where there's hope rising, but then there's another 25 minutes of movie to go, and it still just hammers you. And it is top notch. The performances are amazing in it. The actors are great. Everybody is great in the movie. The kid that plays the lead for the mole segment of the movie, I don't know his name. He doesn't speak much dialogue. All the poor guy wants to do in the first 20 minutes of the movie is take a shit, and he doesn't seem to be able to do it. But I can't get over how much I love this movie. So
it didn't drag. It really didn't drag.
It did not.
And I think that was an important thing, is that it was an hour and 47 minutes, I believe. And it didn't drag, which was fantastic, because normally when you see a movie like this, they like to kind of draw things out. I know a lot of people kind of lose patience when watching a film like this. But in all sincerity, I believe that sort of the sum of all of its parts, especially the music, definitely helped to kind of drive it forward. So I loved it. I would definitely give it at least a 9 out of 10 dimes.
I think this is one of the rare occurrences on this show where we're actually going to agree. I give it a 9 out of 10 as well. The little problems I had with it were small. The movie was fast. It was quick. But at the same time, fast and quick, it beat the shit out of you. I mean, it really did. It's the same feeling you had with Saving Private Ryan, at least in my opinion, where it drove home what the soldiers went through and what they were going through. That sense of impending dread, and it can be culminated for me in one moment in the movie where they try to escape and then they have to go back to Dunkirk, and you just feel so terrible for them because you as an audience member don't want to go back to Dunkirk because you know the sense of hopelessness that's there, and Nolan builds it up so much, and it's every time you feel like something happy is going to happen, it just knocks you back down again. And with the exception of the end, the very end, where there is kind of the moment of, they actually did something. They saved people. I give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 dimes. So,
9 out of 10 dimes. I'm going to finish this drink so that we can talk about that piece of shit Atomic Blonde. Spoilers!
By the way, the hair club for hipsters called, and they want you to join. Yeah. Otherwise known as the Dickheads.
Just in case you guys didn't know, I got a haircut.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Get over it. Okay, cheers. Bye.
Cheers, everybody.